The world didn't expect it to happen this fast, but the morning of December 2nd changed everything. People opened Netflix like any normal day, scrolling for something to watch until one title pulled them in like a magnet. The title pulled them into the hidden architecture of a downfall, The Reckoning. For parts, for hours of concealed history. Within minutes of its release, the internet wasn't just viewing, it was detonating. Viewers weren't watching a documentary. They were witnessing the unfolding of a man's entire empire. Every episode deciphered the last. Cryptic recordings, veiled hallway footage, terrified testimony from voices previously muted by fear, and moments so dark the world began asking one haunting question. How did this enigma remain concealed for so long? Clips spread like wildfire on TikTok. Hashtags hit millions on X. Newsrooms scrambled to piece together timelines because nothing about this felt like entertainment. It felt like evidence. Real, heavy, undeniable evidence. And while fans were still trying to absorb what they were seeing, something else began happening quietly behind the scenes. Cassie Ventura's legal team started making moves. Law firms lit up with calls. Prosecutors began reviewing timestamps. And every new clip that caught fire online made one thing painfully clear. The Reckoning wasn't just a documentary. It was a detonator. To ensure you never miss an investigation into the unfolded enigmas of our world, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, Unfolded Enigmas, and enable notifications. Your support helps us reveal the unseen truth. Now, let's return to the story. By the end of day one, millions had finished the entire series. People were messaging journalists, tagging the court, demanding answers. The sheer volume of unseen material, the call recordings, the private messages, the whistleblower testimony created the kind of pressure that judges can no longer ignore. The truth wasn't whispered anymore. It was trending worldwide. And as the world kept replaying every frame, something began to shift at the highest level of the justice system. A seismic shift began. A move designed to drag Diddy Combs out of his 50-month sentence and propel him toward the veiled fate he spent his life running from. The ultimate enigma of a life behind bars. The deeper people went into the reckoning, the more disturbing the discoveries became. Episode 2 wasn't just storytelling. It was a timeline carved out with receipts. Old hotel hallway footage suddenly matched long-whispered rumors. Private studio recordings captured voices shaking with fear. A former insider, face blurred and voice altered, described nights that felt like traps you could never escape. Viewers paused, rewound, replayed because every clip felt like a puzzle piece sliding into place after years of confusion. And then came the phone calls. Real calls. Voices arguing, panicking, planning, covering, denying. For the first time, the public wasn't hearing vague allegations. They were hearing tone, emotion, desperation. You could feel the room get colder when the documentary revealed timestamps that lined up perfectly with old police reports. Even critics who defended Diddy for years suddenly went silent, unsure how to explain footage that clearly wasn't fabricated. Episode 3 dug even deeper, and that's when the shock hit a different level. People who vanished from the industry years ago suddenly reappeared through recorded interviews, finally revealing why they disappeared. Threats, fear, manipulation, pressure, and watching them speak, their hands shaking, tears pooling, made one thing painfully clear. The truth had been waiting for a moment like this. A moment where the entire world was watching at once, and nobody could bury the story anymore. Even Diddy's most loyal supporters started questioning everything. Forums lit up, podcasts shifted tone, old clips resurfaced where celebrities hinted at parties nobody wanted to attend or contracts that felt more like prison sentences. Suddenly, those comments weren't jokes. They were warnings we all ignored. But the moment that truly flipped the internet was the metadata. Netflix's investigators had decoded digital markers, GPS coordinates, device IDs, the kind of forensic validation that transforms a film into a prosecution file. Lawyers across the country began tweeting that this wasn't just a documentary. It was a sealed prosecution file disguised as entertainment. And as each new revelation dropped, the pressure built higher and higher. Because while millions were watching this story unfold on their screens, something even bigger was moving in the background. Cassie Ventura's legal team wasn't just watching the documentary. They were preparing to strike. Cassie Ventura's legal team didn't waste a single second. While the world was still arguing online, her attorneys were already inside conference rooms with screens paused on the most explosive frames of the reckoning. They had seen these patterns before, but never packaged so clearly, never backed with timestamps, metadata, and voices that aligned with everything Cassie tried to warn the world about years ago. For the first time, her team had what they always needed, a blueprint of behavior, not just one incident. And that's what changed everything. They pulled out old files, reopened sealed folders, compared old statements to the newly surfaced recordings, and what they found was shocking even to them. Dates matching dates, names matching names, witnesses describing the same rooms, the same moments, the same fear. The documentary wasn't just confirming allegations. It was connecting dots the justice system never bothered to connect. By December 3rd afternoon, Cassie's attorneys drafted an urgent communication straight to Judge Arun Subramanian. And this wasn't a polite request. It was a legal shockwave. The message reportedly read, "Your Honor, we now possess significant corroborated evidence from publicly released material that materially impacts the prior sentencing." In legal language, that's as close as you get to saying, the court made a mistake and now the truth is out. Behind closed doors, calls started flying. Prosecutors reviewed the tapes. Digital forensics specialists authenticated the audio samples. Even former investigators who left the case years before were contacted again because suddenly the puzzle looked different. The documentary had cracked open everything that felt unclear in the original trial. And then something even more unexpected happened. Other victims began reaching out. People who never wanted to speak suddenly found courage after seeing familiar patterns on screen. Cassie's lawyers began receiving emails, voice notes, even old diaries. One individual wrote, "I thought nobody would believe me until Netflix finally showed what we lived through." This surge of new information pushed Cassie's legal team to act fast. They prepared a full evidence packet, interviews, decoded audio, visual verification, and within 48 hours, they scheduled a formal request for immediate judicial review. But the real turning point came when Judge Subramanian himself acknowledged the gravity of the situation. He reportedly reviewed key segments of the documentary and required his clerks to source untouched copies of the digital files shown on screen. For a federal judge to move this quickly, it meant one thing. The documentary didn't just raise concerns, it raised legal obligations. And as Cassie's team prepared their final submission, the courtroom energy began shifting. You could feel it in the statements, in the whispers, in the urgency. Everyone knew something massive was coming. Something Diddy and his defense team were completely unprepared for because this wasn't just a documentary reaction. This was the moment the justice system realized it might have sentenced the wrong man too lightly. And now the world was demanding an answer. The media didn't just react to the reckoning, it detonated. By December 4th, every major network in America had shifted its programming. CNN brought in legal experts. ABC interrupted regular broadcasts. Fox News questioned how this documentary wasn't shown to the jury years ago, and social media turned into a 24-hour festival of shock, outrage, and revelation. The clips were everywhere, stitched into TikToks, dissected in podcasts, slowed down on YouTube breakdowns, and debated in late-night panels. But what made things spiral wasn't the entertainment coverage. It was the legal framing. Top analysts began calling the documentary a historic evidentiary event. One attorney said on live TV, "If even half of what Netflix compiled is authenticated, it is enough to trigger a full judicial reconsideration." Courts don't reopen cases based on vibes. But this wasn't vibes. This was digital forensics. Verified witnesses, uncut audio, decade-old receipts, and disappearing victims now resurfacing with the exact same stories. The pressure became so intense that by late evening on December 5th, SDNY's press office was flooded with public inquiries. People weren't just watching, they were demanding justice. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse holding signs that read, "No more silence. Investigate everything." And where was this evidence before? The courthouse steps felt like a reenactment of major civil rights protest. Except this time, the target was a once untouchable music mogul. Inside the legal world, the conversation was even more serious.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
Limited by the constraints of the original trial, now privately admitted that the reckoning had revealed threads they didn't know existed. A senior federal analyst said, "This documentary didn't show new crimes. It showed the structure behind the crime." That one line traveled through every newsroom, fueling the belief that the original 50-month sentence wasn't just light. It was dangerously insufficient. And meanwhile, Diddy's name became radioactive. Brands cut ties. Industry friends unfollowed him overnight. Even celebrities who once partied with him were now distancing themselves, issuing cautious statements like, "If these stories are true, we stand with the victims." The ripple effect was unstoppable. Judge Arun Subramanian monitored the situation closely. Federal judges aren't supposed to react to public pressure, but they are required to respond when new evidence emerges and the integrity of a sentence comes into question. And that's exactly what was happening. The judge quietly held internal meetings, reviewed Cassie's legal submission, examined early forensic reports, and sent out an unmissable signal. The court is preparing to act. By December 6th, news anchors were openly speculating that Diddy might do something unprecedented, reopen a sentencing decision in response to evidence revealed in a global documentary. Comment sections erupted, people saying, "This ends him. He's done. Life sentence incoming." The world didn't know, but that energy was already building into something massive. Something that would pull Diddy out of his 50-month term and throw him straight into the darkest chapter of his life. By the night of December 6th, New York felt electric, like everyone sensed something was coming. And then early Sunday evening, the alert went out. Diddy has scheduled an emergency hearing for Monday, December 8th at exactly 9 a.m. No details, no explanations, just a time and a command. And in the legal world, an emergency hearing is never casual. It's a sign that something urgent, something heavy, something potentially historic is about to unfold. Phones across Manhattan lit up. Reporters scrambled to rearrange schedules. Defense attorneys rushed to their offices. Prosecutors pulled up case files that had been gathering dust since the sentencing. And somewhere inside MDC Brooklyn, a federal marshal quietly informed Sean Diddy Combs that he was being transported to court first thing in the morning. Witnesses later said Diddy didn't speak. He just stared forward as if he already knew this wasn't a routine check-in. This was judgment coming back for him. By dawn on December 8th, the courthouse was surrounded. News vans lined the streets. Helicopters hovered overhead. People who watched the reckoning over the weekend showed up holding notebooks, hoping to catch even a whisper from prosecutors. Security was tighter than any regular hearing. Marshals formed a perimeter and kept whispering into radios. Something big was happening and everyone could feel it. Inside the courthouse, the energy was sucking. "We're losing." Diddy's defense team arrived early, flipping through files they barely had time to prepare. Mark Garagos looked tense, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning every hallway like he was bracing for a punch he couldn't avoid. In a separate room, federal prosecutors laid out their materials: USB drives, printed transcripts from the documentary, digital forensics reports, statements from Cassie's team, and several classified documents sealed inside red folders. And then came the moment that shifted the entire morning. A clerk stepped out with a message that traveled through the hall like a shockwave. The judge will be reviewing all new evidence submitted in relation to Netflix's The Reckoning. That sentence alone froze the building. For a judge to openly acknowledge a documentary as evidence, that meant the court believed there was more truth in those 4 episodes than in Diddy's entire defense narrative. As the clock hit 8:59 a.m., the courtroom filled to capacity. Lawyers whispered frantically, journalists held their breath. Even the air felt heavier. And then, at exactly 9 a.m., the door behind the bench opened, and Judge Arun Subramanian stepped inside with a stack of files under his arm. He didn't smile. He didn't greet anyone. He simply sat down, adjusted his glasses, and said 6 words that would rewrite the future. "Let's begin. Bring in the defendant." The room turned silent. Marshals opened the side door and Sean "Diddy" Combs, once the king of hip-hop, was walked into a courtroom that no longer saw a superstar, but a man standing on the edge of a sentence that could erase the rest of his life. The tension inside that courtroom didn't just rise. It tightened like a rope around everyone's throat. The moment Diddy sat down, the prosecutors stood with a confidence that told the entire room they weren't here to debate. They were here to prove. And the first thing they played wasn't dramatic. It was clinical. A simple screen lit up showing timestamps, metadata, and authenticated digital files pulled directly from the reckoning. The lights dimmed slightly and suddenly the courtroom was watching the same clips the world had been replaying all week, but this time not as entertainment, as evidence. The hallway footage rolled first. Prosecutors paused it, zoomed into shadows, pointed out patterns of movement, timelines that matched sworn statements. Every click of the remote felt like another brick added to the weight on Diddy's shoulders. Then came the audio, uncut, unedited. The same recordings people online called the smoking gun. But hearing them inside a federal courtroom was different, colder. The voices carried fear, confusion, commands, promises, threats. One clip matched perfectly with a witness interview shown in the documentary. Another synced with an old police report. It was like watching puzzle pieces fall into place on their own, each one reinforcing what the previous one suggested. Diddy's defense tried objecting, context missing, hearsay, edited for narrative, but the prosecutors were ready. They pulled out certified forensic reports confirming the audio file's integrity. They showed server logs, device IDs, time-linked GPS data. It wasn't just a documentary anymore. It was a digital fingerprint of everything the original trial didn't fully examine. Garagos leaned toward Diddy several times, whispering rapidly. But Diddy just stared forward, motionless, jaw tight, eyes burning into the table. Every new detail prosecutors revealed drained more color from his face. And the courtroom felt it. The slow crumble of a defense that suddenly realized it was fighting a battle much bigger than opinion or narrative. This was data. This was structure. This was pattern. Then prosecutors brought out the statements from individuals who hadn't testified before. One by one, their words echoed through the room. Fear, manipulation, pressure, isolation. Accounts separated by years, cities, circumstances, yet eerily identical in structure. The judge kept taking notes, flipping pages, highlighting lines. His expression never changed, but you could feel something shifting in him with every passing minute. And then perhaps the most devastating blow, the comparison charts. Prosecutors displayed side-by-side timelines. The documentary sequences versus law enforcement's previous files. The alignment was terrifyingly precise. What once looked like scattered allegations now formed a narrative so consistent that even neutral observers in the courtroom were exchanging stunned glances. By the end of the presentation, the room felt exhausted, not from boredom, but from the weight of what had been shown. The prosecutors had done something rare. They had turned a Netflix documentary into a forensic road map, a road map pointing directly toward patterns of behavior that the original 50-month sentence did not come close to reflecting. And Diddy knew it. The courtroom could see it in his eyes, the dawning realization that this wasn't just a review. This was the beginning of something far more devastating. Something that wasn't going to let him walk out with a sentence he once thought he could survive. Judge Arun Subramanian sat perfectly still for a long moment after the prosecutors finished. The courtroom was dead silent. No whispers, no shifting chairs, not even the hum of a phone. It felt like the entire building was holding its breath, waiting for the one person whose words could change the direction of this case forever. And then slowly the judge removed his glasses, placed them on the desk, and looked directly at Sean "Diddy" Combs. Everyone leaned forward, journalists tightening their grip on their pens, defense attorneys bracing themselves, prosecutors standing straighter. Even Diddy, who had spent most of the morning staring into the table, finally lifted his head. His eyes were red, his shoulders tense, as if he already sensed what was coming. The judge's voice came out steady but heavy. "Mr. Combs, The court has now reviewed evidence that was not available during your prior sentencing. Evidence that fundamentally shifts the understanding of your conduct, its scope, and its impact. The room froze. Garagos whispered something urgently, but Diddy didn't even blink. He just stared at the judge, breathing shallowly, gripping the table with trembling fingers. Judge Subramanian continued, flipping through highlighted pages as he spoke. The newly authenticated recordings, the corroborated statements, the digital trails, and the previously unseen footage establish a pattern of behavior far more severe than what this court initially considered. His tone tightened. This is no longer a matter of isolated incidents, but an orchestrated, repeated, and deeply damaging sequence of actions. A few gasps broke through the silence. Someone in the gallery softly murmured, "Oh my God." But the judge didn't stop. With the public release of the reckoning, victims who feared speaking have now come forward. Evidence that lay buried for years has resurfaced, and this court cannot and will not ignore the full truth now in front of us. He paused again, letting the words settle like a weight across the room. Diddy's chin dropped to his chest. His breathing quickened. His hands shook violently under the table. The judge looked directly at him again. "Mr. Combs, the 50-month sentence previously imposed no longer reflects the gravity of your offenses." Garagos jumped to his feet. "Your Honor, respectfully we object." But the judge held up a hand, stopping him mid-sentence. This court has a duty to protect the integrity of justice, and justice cannot exist when a sentence fails to account for the full scope of harm. The room turned painfully still, like time itself refused to move. And then the words came, the words that changed everything. Effective immediately, this court elevates your sentence to life imprisonment. The air was sucked out of the room. Someone cried out. Someone else dropped their notebook. The shock didn't ripple. It exploded. Diddy attempted to rise, but his legs failed. His face was a mask of pure, unfiltered terror, his mouth opening into a silent, choked gasp. Marshals stepped forward instantly, moving around him as Garagos shouted, "Your Honor! Your Honor! We request!" But the judge had already spoken, already sealed the outcome. Cassie's legal team, sitting in the second row, lowered their heads. Some wiped tears, others just stared at the judge in disbelief. Outside the courtroom, reporters sprinted toward cameras, phones, microphones, trying to break the news before anyone else. Inside Diddy's world, the fame, the power, the control, the illusions collapsed in a single moment. The turning point wasn't just the judge's decision. It was the realization that the reckoning hadn't just exposed secrets. It had unfolded the final enigma of a man who once lived above consequences, now led away to face the one fate he feared more than anything, a life behind bars. This case proved that some secrets are too dark to stay buried. What hidden truth do you think the justice system is still missing? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to help us keep unfolding the enigmas of the world, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We'll see you in the next investigation.